Do the Dallas Cowboys have an issue defending the run? Yesterday against the Buffalo Bills, they ended up running for over 260 yards at an average of 5.4 yards per attempt. But this isn't the first time we've seen the Cowboys defense gashed. Just a couple weeks back against the Giants and Panthers in back-to-back games, the Cowboys gave up 4.8 yards per attempt. To the 49ers earlier this season, 170 yards running. The Cardinals, over 220 yards, 7.4 yards per attempt. This Cowboys defense has been gutted in certain games, and today we're going to try to analyze the tape of exactly kind of what's going on. This play right here is a pretty good example of one of the issues that's kind of happening with the Cowboys. One of the things you got to understand first and foremost is the Cowboys are playing a light box. So what that means is they're going to keep their two safeties both deep, which means that when it comes to the actual gaps, there's just not enough guys to defend every single gap. One gap will be unaccounted for. In this instance, it happens to be the gap between the center and right guard. So what the Bills are actually going to do is they're going to shift their running back from the left side of the quarterback to the right side. And look at what happens with Marquise Bell when this shift actually happens. Bell's going to actually step over here to the right to basically match the running back, because I'd assume Marquise Bell may be in some sort of coverage where he's either covering the running back one-on-one or he may have some sort of responsibility. But what ends up happening when Marquise Bell makes that shift over is Marquise Bell is leaving the B gap, which is the left of that left guard, and he's kind of coming to the inside. And in this instance, the left tackle's going to block out, the left guard's going to down block, and you're going to have the center kind of just pull out up through this gap. In that instance, you're going to put Marquise Bell in a situation where he has to not only take this pulling center on, but then he has to play two gaps. Right? He has to play basically both the right side and left side of the gap. And a part of that is because Marquise Bell did make that shift over pre-snap. Now, aside from what the Bills do on their side of the ball, the Cowboys kind of reacting, just playing a light box only works if you're big enough to be able to make the play with the guys you kind of have out there. You guys will see as we kind of continue through this video, there's going to be times where Marquise Bell is going to be asked to get off the block. Damone Clark, some of these D tackles maybe jump a gap here or there, and they're just not all able to kind of make the play, right? And you're going to see as we kind of go through, there's a ton of plays that end up popping because guys just aren't able to stay within the run fit. Once again, you got two safeties that are going to play deep, and if you're going to do that and you're going to play a light box up front, the safety that's playing deep, if you do run it, has to really step up and make the play. The Bills did this yesterday, and for them, their safeties are a little bit more reactive. They're coming downhill. They're making plays. The Cowboys weren't as reactive. You get plays like this where this one here pops for 7 yards. This one, the safety's got to step in sooner, or one of the guys up front have to be able to kind of get off the block. Of course, for the Cowboys, Jaron Kearse is a safety. Marquise Bell is technically a safety playing linebacker. Damone Clark is on the smaller side as well. So guys are kind of struggling to get off the blocks a little bit. They're struggling to react fast enough and kind of get there. Alright, guys, check this play out. So the Cowboys are only going to really have one safety deep, which means this time they're going to stack the box. Now, unfortunately on this one, the Bills still pick up 9 yards. And you guys will see here in a second exactly kind of what happens on this one. I think one of the things that did happen in this game was guys weren't making plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Guys were not 100% what we've seen in the past. On this one here, Donovan Wilson, who's playing safety at the line of scrimmage here, is going to step too far downwards. He's the guy that kind of goes unblocked within this, and you can see he's just not going to see it. The running back's going to be able to just kind of hit it to the outside. This is his responsibility. He should be able to step in between the gap there and make the play. If 13 here blocks Donovan Wilson, then it's up to Deron Bland here right off the screen here to come in, set the edge, make the play. But 13 here is actually going to climb it up to Deron Bland, and he's going to leave Donovan Wilson unblocked. So Wilson has to be able to step in and make the play. Here's the thing within this play. This is a zone run to the inside, and you'll see both Mozzie Smith as well as Osa Odigizua. Both guys are going to actually win their blocks. Both guys are going to set up right to the inside. And they have this play basically shut down on the inside. And it is an inside zone. But of course, one of the things with inside zones is as a running back, you can bounce as far outwards or inwards as you need. And it is up to the guys out there to basically be able to contain their gaps and make the play. And on this one, Donovan Wilson ends up losing containment, and you pick up 9 yards on this one. Alright, you guys, check this next play out. This one here is going to pop for 13 yards. a really, really nice job once again by the Bills, in my opinion, to kind of scheme this play up a little bit. But before we get into the actual scheme aspect of it, I do want to mention this. This play right here where the Bills pulled their tackle is a play that they actually ran a number of times this game. This play specifically right here was really, really hard for the Dallas Cowboys to stop. This one specifically, the Cowboys actually had the numbers. Now, in terms of run fit, every gap is technically filled. So unlike the play that we looked at previously where there was a gap that was left without a guy that's actually responsible for it, on this one, that's not the case. But the Bills are once again going to do something smart, which is they're going to motion over their running back from the right side of the quarterback to the left side. If you guys see what happens right there, the linebacker also kind of follows that. Damone Clark is going to shift over. From where he's currently standing, he's going to actually shift over towards the left, and that is the reason why this play basically pops. Because the center here now has a much easier block on Damone Clark. And you guys will see that Sam Williams is actually going to go unblocked. The left tackle is going to actually pull out this way. And from that point forward, you're basically just going to seal these guys out. And as Marquise Bell steps up, he's going to end up getting blocked. And of course, Damone Clark's not going to be able to get over the top. So again, I think the Buffalo Bills do a phenomenal job in terms of how they drew this play up, how they kind of motioned over the running back, and kind of how they felt that this could impact the linebackers. Of course, keep in mind, this is in the second quarter still. As we get into the second half, things do shift a little bit for the Cowboys. We'll talk about that as we kind of get to that point. But again, I thought this was a phenomenal job by the Buffalo Bills to be able to make the shift over here. Linebacker kind of gets out of the gap now. And if you look at the center, number 60, it's a super simple block at this point, right? To me, number 60 already has the angle because Damone Clark made that shift over. Now, if you guys think about it in the other perspective, if Clark continued to sit right here, even as the running back ends up on this side, it's not as easy of a block. If the center starts to kind of lean over to the right here, Clark would be able to recognize that a little bit faster. Another aspect of this play is when the left tackle pulls over to the right, Sam Williams has to be able to get over there faster. Sam Williams has to be able to scrape down the line of scrimmage faster than he basically does, because what ends up happening is you already have the defensive tackle here stunting towards the outside. And now you basically have two guys left to contain the outside, and it's not going to work. So Sam Williams has to be able to scrape down the line of scrimmage faster. He does obviously do that, as you guys keep an eye on him. He does scrape down the line of scrimmage, but he's not going to be able to get there. James Cook just kind of runs away from him. So to me, there's a couple different issues with this run, but this one here went for 13 yards. Now the Cowboys choose not to go with traditional linebackers. Damone Clark, Marquise Bell. I would say they're both on the smaller side. Obviously, Clark is an actual linebacker, but again, they are both on the smaller side. This one right here is going to pick up 20 yards. It's going to get all the way down to the 1 yard line. And this play kind of speaks volumes, in my opinion, of the linebackers. Keep an eye on Damone Clark here. He's going to be going up against the left tackle, and watch what the left tackle does to Damone Clark. Clark's trying to get off the block. He's going to try to beat the left tackle, and the left tackle doesn't allow that to happen. He's going to just drive Clark all the way down. He's going to bury him. To me, that cannot happen. A linebacker has to get off the block. It's honestly the most important part of playing linebacker while you're defending the run. And it's not just Clark. On this one, if you guys keep an eye on Marquise Bell, look at him struggle to get off the block of the right tackle. You're going to see the right tackle is going to make contact with Bell. Let me back this up just a frame. Bell does initially get over the top to defend the run over here to the right side. But watch 79 stick to Bell, and then Bell's not able to get off the block either. And he gets crushed, right? To me, that's a problem for the Dallas Cowboys. And at this point, I don't really know how you fix that, because you need linebackers that can defend the run. You know, when the Dallas Cowboys play the San Francisco 49ers, or when they show up and play the Eagles or whatever team it may be, those teams have good offensive lines. And if they take this formula right here that the Buffalo Bills just kind of put on tape, run the football, play physical, go directly at those linebackers, I don't know if that's a formula the Cowboys are going to be able to handle, right? Of course, I do think having guys like Jonathan Hankins back, allowing Mozzie Smith to continue to take reps and play more at the defensive tackle spot in the hopes that he continues to get better and better and better, because he does have good reps on tape. And maybe we'll get into some of those a little bit later on this week. But the Dallas Cowboys really have to think this one through, and they really got to figure out how they're going to be able to kind of defend the run. I want to point out one more thing on this run. Jaron Kears here is going to get reached by number 26. Number 26, I'm not sure if that's a running back, but he's going to get to the inside of Kears, and you can't have that. You can't have 26 blocking you to the outside. And I say that because, let me just back this up here. In terms of run fit, you don't get two guys that are going to take the furthest gap to the outside. It's not going to work like that. One of those guys has to take the inside gap. To me, it has to be the safety on this one. He's going to end up just getting reached, right? So you can't have that happen either, all right? You got to be able to stay within your run fit. You can't get reached. You just got to be more physical, right, at the line of scrimmage. So let's go ahead and get into the next play. Alrighty, guys, so we're in the second half now. This play is going to pop for 10 yards, but I do want to just state this. So the Cowboys obviously made the adjustment where when the running back motion's over, they're not going to have these linebackers fully go over the top. Obviously, he is going to take a step over to the right. But I do want to point this one out because on this play specifically, that's not necessarily the issue. What's going to end up happening, you're going to have Jaron Kears as well as the DN Armstrong on this one, where Armstrong's going to just straight up take on the tackle, and the running back's just going to run this over here to the outside. And I'm not 100% sure exactly which one of the two has the responsibility. It does look like Armstrong should have outside containment. It doesn't look like he's trying to jump this to the inside, which keep in mind, sometimes defensive ends do that. When a guy pulls, they'll kind of jump hard towards the inside, and they'll actually force everything to the outside. And they'll tell the safeties to basically blow the play up to the outside. This doesn't look like that. To me, if you're going to set the edge, the way he takes on this tackle here, you need to really set the edge. You need to make sure the running back is not able to bounce this around you. So this is basic football 101. You got to do a better job on this one if you're Armstrong. To me, that right there is on the defensive end. Jaron Kears obviously looks to be playing the inside gap. You'll see as the tackle here pulls over here to the left. To me, it looks like Kears is set up to the inside. So the defensive end has to set the outside. You got to keep the right shoulder free to be able to make the play, make any sort of play to the outside. You can't let the running back hit that to that same side. You got another one here. This one's going to hit for 17 yards. Once again, just losing containment on the outside. Micah Parsons has to do a better job. There's no player that is safe from criticism, in my opinion. You know, I've watched every single defensive play, and at this point, these guys all got to do better, every single one of them. As the tackle here pulls, you know, I understand if Parsons feels like, hey, this is a inside run, the tackle may be coming to block you out, and they may be looking to run underneath you, but that's not the case here. The tackle just runs right by Parsons, and the running back ends up hitting it to that same side. So you got to do a better job on that one. Let's get into the next snap. Alrighty, guys, final play here. This tackle pulling out over here, it just killed the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they just weren't able to stop this one play. I felt like this was the one play where this one popped for a number of yards pretty much every time they ran this play. Keep in mind, there was a lot of 3, 4, 5, 6 yard runs that we did not cover. Right, we really only went over the big plays. This one here was the 24-yard run. And this is, once again, the hard part about being able to defend the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. Because on one end, as the left tackle pulls and Josh Allen's handing this football off, it's not as easy for this guy just to run down the line of scrimmage and make the play because Josh Allen could easily pull this football. So right away, it makes it hard in that instance that one of these guys could easily pull the football. On top of that, when you pull this left tackle over here to the side and you get all these guys to basically cover, well, what's happening is now when you double team the guy here, if he's not able to fully hold the block, well, now the right tackle here is going to be able to just straight up pick off number 14. And that's kind of what's going to happen on this one. If you guys keep an eye on the right guard, right tackle, they're going to double team Osa. The right guard's going to be able to turn and flip the hips, and the right tackle is going to get up to Marquise Bell. And you see that being executed flawlessly. And you're just not going to be able to make the play. You know, Wanye Thomas misses the tackle. That's one thing, right? The safety could have easily made the tackle and stopped this for a gain of 10 or 11 yards. But, you know, the Cowboys just struggled to stop the run. They struggled to get off blocks. To me, the blocking angles were all on point as well. This is going to be one of the hard things as the Cowboys kind of move forward. And I do want to state this, you know, you're not going to play Josh Allen every single week, right? The 49ers don't have a quarterback who I would say is a true, he may pull the football and he may run with it. The same thing with a team like the Detroit Lions, who you may play in the playoffs. They're not going to have Jared Goff pull the football. But I do think that the Dallas Cowboys have to figure out how they're going to get a little bit bigger to defend the run. And it's completely different, if it's not raining, it's completely different if the Cowboys offense ends up, scoring 21 points and you're up 15 points at the beginning of the game. And now the opposing team may not run the football as much. And again, it's a completely different thing when the Buffalo Bills are up 14-0 or 21-3 or whatever the score may be. And now you have to stop the run and this team's going to want to run the football. To me, the Cowboys definitely have issues defending the run. Is it the end of the season? Obviously not. I think having guys like Hankins back could impact this team in a positive way. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something new. If you did, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.